Hello, I'm Mark from My Italian Travels, and today I'm going to show you how to get around Venice using the water buses. I'm going to show you how to get around Venice using a couple of things. One of them is going to be my favorite, which is Google Maps, and the other is the water bus system, or actually it's a transportation system for that area. It's called ACTV, and their website address is www.actv.it/en, and that'll bring you up to this page. And once you're on this page, it's pretty simple. You go over to Moving in Venice, you click on it. It opens this up and it gives you prices and things like that. You can come back anytime you want to and look at what the prices are because they change. Sometimes they change during the season, but most of the time it's pretty steady all year round. But they could have, price changes long after I make this video. So I want you to be up to date with pricing. But the next thing you want to do is go up here, Waterbus service and timetables. Click on that. And it brings you to this page, and what I'm going to show you what to do on this page is I'm going to click on this map, and don't get all excited about it being really small, because all you have to do is go up here, and you can zoom in and get it as big as you need, and then once you can't drag it around, you have to use your scroll bars on the side. My bottom scroll bar, I didn't get it in the frame here, so it's not exactly where I want it to be. But I just want to show you that you can zoom in and you can see everything that you're going to need to see. But what I want to do is I want to zoom back out because I want to show you how many lines there are, and for the most part you're only going to have to use a couple of them. What I want to do next is I want to zoom back out and move the screen over a little bit so you can see how many different water bus routes there are. And for the most part, you're really only going to be using 4, maybe 5 routes. Routes 1 and 2 are the main routes that go through the Grand Canal. Route 3 and 12 are kind of like express routes that take you to Murano, where the glass factory is. The difference being is Route 3 starts really close to where the train station is and the bus station, and Route 12 starts from the middle of the island and goes over. So it just depends on what day you want to go do something like that, if you're going to go over there, and where you are in relation to each one of those lines. The main 2 lines that most people are going to be using is lines 1 and 2. Line 1 goes back and forth through the entire canal, stops off at every single water bus stop, and it goes all the way over to Lido Beach. Line 2 goes through the same canal, but the difference being is it only stops at about a third or a fourth of the water bus stops, because it only stops at the most popular ones. But it's going to zigzag back and forth also. And the way you can see where it stops, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can zoom out on the map again, and you can look at these things, and it tells you, this one says line 1, line 2, N stops here, and in the next 2 water bus stops it's only line 1. Line 2 and 1 would be here again. So as you can see that it skipped a few. 1 went to all of them. 2 skipped these 2 and went to another one. And what you can also do when you want to find out other things, I also use Google Maps. And you could go to Google Maps, and here's Google Maps, and I'll show you a neat trick that Google does. And as you zoom in, you can grab a map with this, and you go over, and these are water bus stops. Now if you hover over it, Google tells you which lines go to it. And that one's 1 lines. Those are different lines, ones that most of the time you're not going to be using, unless of course your hotel is on the outskirts, and then you would have to figure out which water bus line that goes past your hotel or in the area of your hotel. But as I can zoom back out just a little bit more, you can go in here and hover over each one, and it'll tell you which lines. Sometimes it's easier to read, and you can also see which side of the canal that the water bus stop is. Like for this one example, this one's over here on this side, and only line 1 and the end line goes over there. You come over here, lines 1 and 2 and N, and this one's going to be 1. This one's going to be 1, and you can go farther down the canal, and this one's going to be 1. Go over to the other side, it's going to be 1 and 2. So you can see how 1 hits everything and 2 kind of hits back and forth. So if you don't know which side of the canal you want to go on, then maybe line 1 would be better for you. If you spend some time doing some research and reading the map, and you know which side of the canal you want to be left off, then you could pick out which one you want, which line you want to go on, because there's only a few bridges on the Grand Canal, and I'm guessing if you don't want to walk, that you would want to get off on the right spot in order to go to the site or the restaurant or whatever it is you want to go see there. I want to zoom out a little bit again, and too far. I guess I'll just stay here. I wanted you to see, like I said, if you hover over, you'll see that it shows you the line that you're on. Now, line 2, like I said, it doesn't go to all the stops, but at the same time, it doesn't go to Lido. It stops right here at this stop, which is really, is a little bit past San Marcos Square. And then what it does, I'm going to move the map. It goes back around and comes through here. So it makes a big circle. I don't think it stops at this one, but it stops at one of these other 3 right here. So what it does is line 2, it goes around through the Grand Canal and back around. It also has another, obviously not everybody wants to take and ride the boat all the way back around to get where they want to go, so they also have one that goes in the opposite direction. Same with the number 1 line. It comes back and forth, and it'll go around, and then it has one that goes in the other direction. And then so you'll see boats going back and forth in the opposite direction of each other, which makes it really nice, because who wants to wait around for the bus to go around and around and around in a circle? So with that in mind, you know that you shouldn't really have to wait for any real long period of time if you plan on using the water bus to go back and forth from wherever your hotel is all the time. Now, that's one of the reasons why I like to go back and forth from Google Maps to the Waterbus Map, because the Waterbus Map, it has a lot of good information. It shows which lines go where, and like I said, if you are staying in a hotel that's around here somewhere, well, you can take the 2 line and it'll go around in circles and it'll go back around, but you can also take any one of these other lines, the 6 line, the 8, the 10, the 4, the 5, and some of those go all the way around on the outside, some of them don't. The 2 line, like I said, it goes around in both directions. So if you depending on where you're staying, you might be staying on this outer edge, or you might even be staying over on Lido. But it just makes it a lot easier if you can pull this up before you go on your vacation, so you can study the map and figure out, okay, I'm going to be staying right around here, so I would take whatever line to get where I'm going, because you don't want to necessarily walk from the train station or the bus terminal to get to your hotel, because it could be a long walk and you're going to have luggage. So you could, if you're pretty young and you want to do most of your vacationing by walking, well, you really wouldn't necessarily have to spend a lot of money to get the Waterbus pass. And you can get those. They sell a lot of them right where the trains and the bus unload. Otherwise, there's places to buy them all around. There's a lot of smoke shops and little shops that sell them, but there's also a lot of the Waterbus stations that will have the machines there that you can buy them. Now, one of the other things that you're going to need to know is when you get ready to get on the water bus, you have to validate the ticket. And what you'll do to do this is you'll walk up to the water bus stop and you'll see these little machines on both sides. Well, you just take your Waterbus ticket and you wave it in front of it as almost like it's a credit card, and it'll register that you scanned it, and it keeps track of what you're doing. That way you can prove that, hey, I'm not sneaking around. My Waterbus ticket is still good, and that way you don't have to worry about anything. Because if you're in Italy and you're riding a train, you know what will happen if you don't validate your train ticket. You can get a big fines and things like that. So that's one of the other things that you're going to have to remember to do while you're using the water buses. As I said, I like to use Google Maps a lot when I'm doing this, but at the same time, you're not going to have access to Google Maps when you're on the island. So that's why it's good to go back and forth from Google Maps and the Waterbus route map. That way you can look at the lines, you can see what's where, you can see the names of the stops, and it just makes things easier for when you get there, because like I said, you're not going to be able to use the Google Maps when you get to Venice. Now I want to go back to Google Maps and show you something else. Now you may be wondering, how do I know if I'm getting on the right water bus? Well, the water buses are marked, and also most of the time, like I said, there's only a couple of lines running down through the Grand Canal through here, but this is a real simple way you can find out also, and I'll show you. I'm going to zoom in close to the Rialto Bridge. Now I showed you earlier, if you hover over, it's going to tell you which lines, and the Waterbus route map, it shows you which lines stop at which places also, but it's not as easy as looking on here, but it's good to go back and forth and look at both maps. But what I'm going to show you right now is something really neat that you could do, but I'm just going and doing this so you can see that you can tell easily which route you're getting onto. I'm going to click on the Earth view, and I'm going to grab this little guy right here, and I'm going to drag him over, and I'm going to put him right about there. And it's going to give me this. I'm going to turn around, and here's what the Waterbus station looks like. This one is a bigger station, so it sells tickets here, so that's nice. And if you look up top, you can see, and I'll zoom in just a little bit, it's telling you which lines stop at this Waterbus stop. There's also generally a card, a big card right here that tells you which lines stop there. You can see that it's 2 and N and 1, and it's the same things that they're showing up here. They're showing you the lines that are on here, and so that makes things a lot nicer. Like I said, the buses are marked, the water buses are marked, the stations are marked, and that way you can be pretty confident of where you're going. And as I said, they also, each stop also has a name, and that makes things a little bit easier also on you, because all you have to do is look at your Waterbus stop map, and you can it will usually tell you, or when you go up to the stop, it'll tell you which water buses go there. If you're looking for one that Waterbus 2 stops at, and since Waterbus 2 only stops at about 1/3 of the ones that 1 does, if it doesn't say 2, well then you know the Waterbus 2 doesn't go there. So you'd have to go down, look on your map, and see where the next one Waterbus stop that you could go to that would pick up Waterbus 2. With that in mind, if you are planning on going to Venice and you're going to use the water buses, if you just go online and go to the ACT website and go to Google Maps and play around with it for a while, well then after a while, by the time you get there, you'll be really confident in not even thinking you're going to have to ask questions about how to get from and to places, because you'll already have spent some time looking to see which water bus routes go where and which water buses stop at which water bus stop. And at the same time, you'll also be able to take some time and look at the maps to see which sightseeing sites that you want to go look at and which water bus stop goes to it, and so forth. And hopefully this will give you a lot better information. That way if you go to Venice, you won't be, apprehensive about how to get around. I mean, obviously you can walk pretty much everywhere, but if you're on this side, like I said, there's only a few bridges that go across the main canal. So if you're walking over here, you have to walk all the way around to get to the Rialto Bridge to cross. And maybe there's a lot of things that you want to see over here. And vice versa, if you're over here, you'd have to find one of the bridges or jump on the water bus to get on to the other side. So hopefully this helps you be more confident about going on your Italian vacation and going to Venice. If you have more questions about anything, you can always go to my website, My Italian Travels. It's got a lot of good information there on how to just about everything you might need to know. And I also have videos on it for things that I don't have here. So hopefully you've learned something today that you can use for a long time. Have a good day.